individual,
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 You're going to come home a different person. You're going to come back a radicalized individual, willing to risk life.
Peter,
You
that's
are
enough.
a side effect to an evolutionary process that cares little for individual lives, individual lives, individual lives. You are a failed experiment in mutation.
My organization has been contracted to eliminate a certain high-profile individual, high-profile individual, high-profile individual. A very well-guarded target.
Shit. I think this year we're gonna show that it takes a team to win, not any individual guy, just a team. And
Truth is, I never really got into baseball because it's more of a father-son game. You know, my dad was more into individual sports like tennis and golf and withholding affection.
Said individual is to be immediately remanded to the Bajal.
These are lies, this is slander!
Whereupon he will remain.
and troops here are risky.
What else you know? That you're a hyper-intelligent individual. That you understand acutely that the heat...
In local law, it means that the court will appoint an individual to assume responsibility for you. Me.
How is he able to formulate the connection? Is it physiological or psychological?
This individual can create a mental nexus using gaseous substances.
You mean connect with gases on a molecular level?
For a spark. Now, mankind would fight that fire, leaving every individual plant perfect in its own individual way. But it's the fire that's perfect.
Why?
This really a gifted individual? What do we know?
Not much yet.
Direct.
Direct. Direct. Direct.
Direct.
I think you've interpreted that correctly. Wow, she's direct, 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 and I might add, slutty.
That's what I got.
If you can just get a direct order from Lutan to you.
Rock trolls, not bridge trolls.
Oh yeah, they're quite nice.
So you can direct me to them? Direct me to them? Direct me to them?
No.
Okay, well just show me how. You can direct me. I've done a lot of plays.
6 days ago, an object entered our atmosphere at 20,000 miles an hour on a direct course for that ship.
I threw a golf ball and a bottle of Pennzoil. Direct hit it.
I can remove it thoracoscopically.
Yeah, and that's when the poor guy dies, because if you do that, you won't have a direct visual.
Why aren't you doing a TVAR? I'm doing a direct approach. It's cooler.
Leave us, please.
But I have direct orders from the prince.
And now you have direct orders from me.
Administer.
Administer. Administer.
Administer.
Administer.
I've administered the virus to these 4 mice.
I have made investigations. I administer several cases at once.
I'm Dr. Lee. I'm here to administer your anesthesia. Administer your anesthesia.
Okay, hi.
Right. I'll just administer a local anesthetic.
Don't bother.
I'll administer a course of antibiotics through the feeding tube. That should cure the infection.
The only way you're getting that insulin is if I'm administering it. Mr. Schofield, looks like I'll be administering your shot today.
I only administered a mild sedative, just something to calm you down, not put you to sleep.
Ivo asked me to come aboard to administer last rites for a dying man.
There's a cure, and he knows how to administer it.
In blood and genetic markers.
First, we administer the vaccine prototype.
Probably they're administering them, giving mandatory supplements to all their employees.
Accord.
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 Your Republic forces have carried out a barbaric attack on our people. And among the deaths was the very sponsor of the peace accord. The peace accord. The peace accord. Senator Mina Bonteri.
What? It was Sib Kane acting on his own accord, who kidnapped the children of Chairman Papanoida.
This isn't the first time I've had to say that if you refuse to give a deposition of your own accord, I'll compel you to give one.
Harris turned him on his back to check his vitals, and they failed to report this during the investigation.
You seem to accord the police a great deal of honesty.
I do.
Give her some pride. Who's the knight in shining suit?
Well, according to the police notes, he's Dr. Stanley Heaton, a family friend.
Don't be. I am part of a billion-dollar company, and according to Dr. Lightman, the smartest person I know is planning to take it from me.
You're welcome.
I am the father of his child.
Not according to your dear friend Pilar.
Ian Albers, small-time con? We bust him before?
No, not according to his record. Well, according to his file, he was working admin support for the quartermaster's office.
Wesley Kent, founder and CEO. He's pointing fingers at his competitors. But according to NYPD, he had an after-hours meeting on his calendar with Hayes the night that he died. His name is Julian Larson.
This is your Mas?
We think so. And according to Fowler, he's a right hand behind whoever's manipulating you, Kate, the music box, everything.
Beggar.
Beggar. Beggar.
Beggar. Beggar.
The next thing I know, you're going to be asking me to high five.
Leo, do you want help or not? Beggars can't be choosers.
Right. Sorry.
I'm like a starving beggar who's been given food. I unhappy. No.
It's yours.
$30,000? What am I? Do I look like a beggar? Beggar?
Getting to go home? Cakes and puddings? Lucky beggars. Still, we'll have a nice time.
You always say that. Lucky beggars. You always say that.
Who lack not virtue, no, nor power, but that which we have given to beggars.
Well, no more.
No more words, we beseech you.
Who are you to speak to me?
Who am I? Beggar.
Arrest every gypsy in Provence, and every beggar, and every man without a wife and family.
So what will it be? Beggars under an old captain.
Yesterday, Captain Honeygold was immovable from that fault, and Captain Vane was a beggar.
Poverty was unimaginable.
Streets filled with beggars, children running around in tatters.
You're not eating shrimp for Thanksgiving.
Beggars can't be choosers, bro.
Actually, they can. I have a contingency plan.
Stir.
Stir. Stir. Stir.
Stir.
Oh, what a surprise! Just casually sitting outside your door, playing a love song to stir your inner wantings. So, now we patch a broken heart. Now just give it a little bit of stir and stir and stir and voila! Poe's famous sticky dumplings.
Stir it up. Stir it up. Stir it up. What you get?
Who are you trying to convince, Evan? You come all the way back here to stir up my shit just because you have a bad memory?
Okay, now, use this. And stir it up.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
3. Come on, Nico. Let's stir the pot a little.
It won't work. It's gotta. It'll stir things up. Well, the governor's probably on the way to the prison right now.
The Chinese have a saying. You stir the grass, then you startle the snake.
I told you if I ever saw you again, I'd put the hurt on you. You stir up trouble. Trouble is bad for business.
You need me to stir? Didn't you have lots of spiders to trace? Well, there's over 30 separate breeding grounds within a 200-mile radius of the body site. I never thought of using paint stir sticks in place of ribs.
So what's the commotion outside? A little stir at the border. Problem crossing the line.
Standpoint.
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 Reevaluate what we have from the standpoint of everything, from the standpoint of everything, from the standpoint of everything was done on purpose.
From a military standpoint, Lexi's a known threat that should be eliminated.
Now, maybe that doesn't play well from a public relations standpoint, but from a public safety standpoint, a Bruzy and a Polskas were by the book.
5 billion of us, we're like ants. I mean, do we care what ants do, you know, from a moral standpoint?
From a budgetary standpoint, I don't see how Mr. Wayland has enough to offer us that would warrant sponsorship or anything of the sort.
And then that allows us to overlay the two camera systems, if you imagine, from a physical standpoint.
So you like this?
Look, I'm a numbers guy. You're the artist, Ray. You know, from a financial standpoint, I like it. Yes, I like it very much.
I'm scared, Hal. And Paula said the reason Howard is leaving Global Innovations is that he's not comfortable with, you know, some of the business practices from a legal standpoint.
God allows evil to exist because of free will. From the Christian standpoint, God tolerates evil in this world on a temporary basis, so that one day those who choose to love him freely...
Everything okay?
Evidently Tuesday and Thursday look the same from a lip reading standpoint.
I'm sorry, but from a forensic linguistic standpoint, these threats are quite fascinating.
Upon reflection, it's just as well. From a storytelling standpoint, I mean, do not let this guy poke you, then the acupuncturist stabs her with a giant needle. It's just...
Finance.
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 He can finance his mercenaries, finance his mercenaries, finance his mercenaries, and brutalize the people.
Finance? 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 Your wife came here on the bus to see you. I sent her home in a cab. Is that your idea of outside fucking finance?
Let's get Brady out of there. Finance someone will be a friend of the Marches and help us change these regulations.
Down to finance.
Where your little ploys of finance count for nothing!
Well, it's our understanding that he handled your charity's finances. Considering everything that's happened, that would give you motive.
Finance law, yes, it does. But that's all on hold until my finances improve.
See, will be a comprehensive education reform bill to properly fix, finance, and strengthen our nation's schools.
Exception.
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 Yeah. With one exception. With one exception. With one exception.
I thought you said never again.
Well, I made an exception. Exception. Exception.
Can't let it in unless I see it. Look, I know what the rules are. I'm just asking if you can make an exception. No, there are no exceptions. That's what we have rules.
Come north and see it. No, Johnny, my father, he doesn't go to the U.S.
Perhaps for this I'll make an exception.
Bravely?
That's the exception to the rule. You know me well enough by now to tell when I'm lying.
Because the exception is so rare.
Well, someone inside this prison took exception to that.
All right, look, I'm 5-0, all right? Make an exception, please.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Today I'm making an exception.
If dark magic is the only thing that can break that protection spell, we need to make an exception and use it.
August was the rare exception. That's why this is so important to me.
Well, I'm a little booked up today, but I think I'll make an exception for you.
With his hand on my knee, so I might be able to make an exception.
Intelligent.
Intelligent. Intelligent.
Intelligent.
Intelligent.
Keen, you seem to be a lucid, reasonably intelligent woman. Intelligent woman. Intelligent woman.
You make weapons for the government.
No. I make intelligent machines. Intelligent machines. Intelligent machines. You are driven,
and intelligent. You're a million times too good for me, even before I was broke.
If there is intelligent life out there and they come here, it's going to be like Columbus and the Indians.
They use it as proof of an intelligent designer.
Intelligent designer.
God.
An intelligent man with a strong head for business.
That you're a hyper-intelligent individual. That you understand acutely that the heat's always on.
She's beautiful. She's intelligent. She's funny. The way she smiles at me sometimes just melts my heart.
The love haze? It's like a drug. It makes intelligent people do stupid things.
From people who are even more intelligent and dedicated than I am.
Supremely intelligent, highly adaptable, and they are ruthless killers.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
One of the things we do is look at body language, and we found that sometimes when people are feeling vulnerable, they tend to cover their gonads.
Let me have it. Okay, fine. You are such a stubborn, ego-driven bastard. You are willing to let your company sink because you are too proud to be vulnerable, And by the way, you let me leave.
Wrong way. Too late.
Okay, you're vulnerable like a puppy.
That's the question that needs to be asked. We are not sociopaths. We're vulnerable to qualms of conscience like anyone else.
It's hard to believe it's true. This is the tale of a master imposter who managed to lie his way into the United States and prey upon the most vulnerable of people.
Undercut the extent of injuries and try to reduce the award.
Yeah, but we're still vulnerable and punitive.
Luckily, they weren't important, but we could be vulnerable here.
Drive lead.
Lead truck in the convoy. It's the most vulnerable to a roadside bomb.
I'm sure you don't mean to terrorize everyone at such a vulnerable time.
No, I was just joking. I'm never vulnerable. Also a joke.
Protective of me? Why?
Yes. I mean, look at you. You're open and vulnerable and raw. It's like...
If I were one, bringing this up would be pointless. It would make you vulnerable.
Your left flank is vulnerable.
Because he helped you, our clan is vulnerable. The Reapers come, we can't even fight them off.
Dominance.
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 Dominance. Dominance.
Monkeys generally assert their dominance through chasing, assault, and a stylized penile display. I'm going to assert my dominance face to face.
Now, if you want Thea, you need dominance in Selma.
You know the truth, they're laughing at us. They think that chess dominance proves...
You're gonna invite me to sit, then weaken my defenses, and then embarrass me in some elaborate prank to assert your social dominance.
There is a balance to be maintained between dominance and patronage.
It's a metabolic dominance program. Heightens your reflexes, eliminates anxiety.
Gabriel, please.
Dyads are rare, but it's rarer still for the human spirit to win dominance over the angel.
Really? You're gonna Shanghai my whole discipline?
You're tapping into what anthropologists call lines of influence, dominance, and suasion.
Sure, you are the scariest one. That was always supposed to be me. Shouldn't have left. I'll establish dominance.
Daddy, what are you talking about?
Well, no, that's the thing. It's not just dinner, okay? It's what's called relationship dominance.
Harmony.
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 Harmony and concord between the two sides. I'm inspired.
By bonding with another species, it is how we survive. We try to live in harmony,
Communities. Serene, beautiful places
where disorder became harmony, harmony, harmony.
You'll notice children in the streets as well. This is everyday life happening in perfect harmony.
Where are you from?
That is harmony and interpretation.
Here we go. The Harmonists, first settlers of New Harmony, Indiana, used a golden rose as their symbol for Christ.
Romulus and Remus will be living side by side, two cocks in harmony.
Right?
Why?
She wants to hear Orson, and I quote, sing harmony with the guy he tried to kill.
To drop you. I've been with Harmony 360 for 10 years. They love me.
You have a lead? Yes, we ran a search on the national database for Turkish harmony.
The harmony one was fine. We didn't need to upgrade to the 1100, which he knows is too big for my hand.
Interval.
Interval. Interval.
Interval.
Interval.
All I know is it's just all in 4-day intervals for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will now be a brief interval. Brief interval. Brief interval.
9:13 a.m. Swell westerly, approximately 12 feet at 16-second intervals.
I need a picket line along the GT highway and then spaced at intervals along the road and in every exit.
Maya.
What are those?
Sequenced intervals.
Radio check the 5-minute intervals. Let's go!
Did you sleep?
In brief intervals. Tea, Tibetan fried bread.
To lose our ladies' maids at regular intervals. Anna, did you know about this?
11-second interval between skitter guard ships. That's our window.
Marty, we can't negotiate time intervals here.
I'm just saying if. The frequency could never be more than 5.
Gesture.
Gesture.
Gesture. Gesture. Gesture.
Ask for help.
Committing a suicidal gesture says otherwise.
It wasn't a gesture. Gesture.
Well, you tell Matt I appreciate the gesture, but I've got to get a job. A real job.
You bought us Taco Bell.
Eric, honestly, that was a sincere gesture.
Compromise you. Unless it was done in innocence. The fatherly gesture.
In competition, she started caressing her own hand.
A self-comforting gesture. Yeah, it could have been a cultural gesture. Maybe he looked down to show his respect.
What embarrassment to me.
I've ever had my entire life, and then I think, by offering it to you instead of taking it for myself is sort of a romantic gesture,
Faggot.
Who was that?
Who do you think, faggot? Now he's giving you a lewd gesture.
It's a guy thing.
I won't even speak if you don't want me to. I'll just, gesture, like those baseball signals. Whatever you want.
Dana's gesture is the kind that we don't often see. Clear-eyed, determined.
Want to appease you.
These weren't reparations. Just a simple gesture of remorse, and she slapped it down. Oh! It's a symbolic gesture.
This arrangement, I help you, you help me. All right, how about a gesture of faith? It'd have to be a hell of a gesture.
Rack.
Rack. Rack. Correct.
Rack.
Your last present is on a towel rack in the bathroom. Delve into our facilities. Emerge a star.
Our hat rack fell through the window. Well, we do have a hat rack. We thought it would force us to wear our hats more.
Hello. Yeah, you're beautiful. Your size is on that rack. It's on that rack. It's on that rack.
Oh, no, we're not looking for a dress.
Okay, there's a knife rack directly to your right.
What are you doing?
This rack just moved.
I just saw two hobos fighting over a rack of lamb.
So while the top rack's being fired, the rack below that one can be loaded. And the rack below that one is allowed to cool.
Paul, don't rack your brain. I'm not asking you to get involved.
In a Ferrari full of flight attendants?
Yeah, he's probably trying to rack up his frequent flyer miles.
Get over.
You know the rule. Turn your back on the rack, you're under attack.
Here we go, pills and spices.
You have a spice rack full of pills? You gotta cook me dinner sometime.
Clean glass is coming through.
Nice rack. Now I know why guys like saying that to me.
At first, it's a blast. Buying a dish rack, hanging a sheet up to turn one room into two.
Booth says I shouldn't trust you.
And why is that?
Well, he says you like to rack them up.
Rack 'em up. How vulgar.
Tune.
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 Tune. Tune.
Play us a tune. Play us a tune. Play us a tune.
If you asked me at the beginning of senior year, I would have told you absolutely nothing. But tonight, possibly the greatest night of my life, I have changed my tune. My tune. My tune.
No pressure.
Let's put on some tunes. Tunes. That always dials down the pressure.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Fires!
I'm tuned into the soldier's frequency.
Scylla is en route. ETA 0600 hours at the Southwest Bay.
Work.
You make it sound like using an enhanced exoskeleton to fight crime and save the city is a Looney Tune idea.
If you could hack a keyhole hexagon satellite, you could tune the quad band to search for it.
Which is what you've been doing for the last 5 minutes. We will keep updating you as information comes in. So stay tuned to
WYBS.
the location for this is where the dome intersects with the 6th Street Bridge. For further updates, stay tuned to WYBS.
Dancing king prancing down his blood-stained halls to the tune of a twisted demon monk.
Yeah. Let's not forget it's got some really catchy tunes.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Yeah, it's completely out of tune with the wind chimes.
Surgeon. 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 Surgeon.
Surgeon.
Oliver. I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon.
Wow.
That's great.
What kind?
Mainly of the spine.
Continue to act like you've never seen a dead body before. You were a surgeon. You went surgeon. You went surgeon. You went to medical school. Surely you worked on cadavers.
Pain. It's a mission of mercy. Me, I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon. My favorite kind of patient is unconscious on a table with a tube down his throat.
You cut Emily like a surgeon.
You was working with the bitch virus.
Wow. That was beautiful to watch, Howard, like a surgeon or a concert pianist or something.
How many times must we tell you? I am not dentists. I am parodontist. She is oral surgeon.
So, surgeon, sober companion, detective.
But cancers can be fought and conquered. All it takes is a surgeon.
Stop the bleeding.
Well, then operate. Do whatever you have
I'm
to.
not a surgeon. We don't have anesthesia or equipment. I can't even tell which organ is injured without an MRI.
The same neighborhood as Dr. Harold Hadley's office, the military surgeon who performed several procedures on her. That's why she was looking for the folder.
Good to finally have the proper tools and medicines. Back in the day, the surgeon would have just cut your leg off and hoped for the best.
You mean like how they've assigned an experienced combat surgeon to pediatrics?
I'm not saying it isn't important.
Claire must be the surgeon. Only she can stop the bleeding.
Alcohol.
Alcohol. Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
You look good, Eli. I swear, if you start clocking my alcohol intake, I'm going to do shots.
Okay.
The toxicology report was positive for cytrophenol as well as alcohol. Alcohol.
You're adorable when you're looped.
I'm not looped. The alcohol flushes me. Gives a natural blush.
You not having a little something to drink?
Oh, no, I never drink alcohol. I don't like to blunt my senses.
An optimism fills the void.
I think that's alcohol.
Just as good.
I had him check for drugs and alcohol.
But they already... Yes.
Even though I smell alcohol on your breath?
Tony.
This is my job, Miss Sharma.
Distractions, drugs, alcohol, gambling, anonymous sex with strangers.
Ooh, that should be fun.
You want us to hide the alcohol?
St. Patrick's Day in Chicago, hiding it won't make a difference.
Have fun tonight.
You been drinking?
No, it's 3 o'clock. I'm headed to class.
I smell alcohol in your breath. Have you been drinking?
Prime. Prime.
Prime. Prime.
Prime. Be the prime suspect, prime suspect, prime suspect. You hatched another devious plan.
This wasn't about our missing woman. If there was some other prime motive, killing the paramedics, stealing an ambulance, any way you add it up.
And this one, Karina, she is in her prime. Well, almost.
It is always a prime investment. Prime investment. Prime investment. You never go out of business.
Do this, see where it leads. But Andrew Haynes is still a prime suspect. At least until you can.
As the enforcer for the O'Reilly family, he's the prime suspect in dozens of hits.
How does the Prime Minister resist the inevitable?
I got no shot. Only so long Meatloaf can hold on to prime rib, right?
No, man. Just saying any girl that makes you feel like Meatloaf isn't prime rib. At least not your prime rib.
For me to be here, I left the governor's mansion right in my prime. To be what, vice president?
Do I need to call the prime minister?
Oh, I think it's going to take more than a phone call.
Sympathetic. Sympathetic.
Sympathetic. Sympathetic. Sympathetic.
We told Mrs. Roosevelt all that we had seen, and she was very sympathetic, very sympathetic, very sympathetic.
What do friends do? They call, they're sympathetic. They ask about the pain the other person is going through, and then they listen.
No, listen. You go down to the hospital, okay? You meet with a kid. You show that the station is sympathetic, and it's good PR, right?
If I could have helped, I would have. Because you're sympathetic to their cause? You agree with her tactics?
That's what makes you different. It's what sets you apart. You know, you're sympathetic.
Okay.
Just try it. Okay.
I know a couple of officers who are sympathetic to our cause.
As soon as he bites me, my sympathetic nervous system will put me into a state of shock. I'll pass out.
After talking until dawn, Cox is sympathetic, but no fool.
And while there are many doctors in the association who are sympathetic to end-of-life options for the terminally ill, the fact remains.
He could present himself to a sympathetic embassy. His best option, by far, is the third.
But Mozzie's mixing chemicals right now to test for something called a sympathetic stain.
Yes, and sometimes she just wants a sympathetic ear.
Whoa.
Solidarity. Solidarity.
Solidarity. Solidarity.
Solidarity.
Point. Solidarity is the most important thing here.
With the same courage and solidarity that we showed today. Thank you all.
We're fine. But if you're looking for solidarity, I would be more than happy to skip Owen Hunt's Trauma Certification Lab.
In 1990, Kozlovsky and his 10th Mountain Brigade in the Black Caucasus went into Warsaw and executed known allies of the Solidarity movement.
Solidarity also has a role in this liquid immensity, 4,000 meters deep.
What's Kratom?
Us. Group name, Solidarity. Band of Brothers.
Some weird cross-generational female solidarity with Cuddy.
Next few weeks. So, I'd like you all to commit to not drinking too, in solidarity, like school children.
I appreciate the solidarity, Tom. There's nothing to do with you, Arthur, believe me.
She was very reckless. Maybe someone got her.
I doubt it. Damn vampire solidarity.
A working mother needs solidarity, and we know where we rank in likability.
Solidarity. If we throw away our solidarity, we throw away our strength. Correct?
That's right.
Careful.
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 I'm testing it for her.
Oh, okay. Take it easy with that. Be careful with that. Be careful with that. Be careful with that, Ben, okay?
Laugh, but I be careful mocking what you don't understand.
You should be careful. You should be careful. You should be careful not to press a desperate foe too hard.
Says she can turn that into landmines, so, be careful where you step.
Funny.
Our scouts patrol these woods. Be careful where you shoot.
The grounders listen to you.
Be careful.
Yeah. Can't be too careful these days. When you're ready to travel, head west.
We're just making the rounds with the interested buyers. Let them know to be careful.
Oh, yes.
Careful.
This is where I belong.
Yes, well, you need to be careful.
Ow.
Very. Be careful.
Be careful! Be careful!
So must we. I want justice. Tread carefully. It's dangerous to confuse vengeance with justice. Do you understand?
Dive.
Dive.
Dive. Dive. Dive.
Belay the dive.
We'll open a scuba shop.
Hey, I don't dive. I don't dive. I don't dive.
Neither do I. We'll have plenty of time to learn.
We go to that dive bar up the street after work. You should come with us.
Yeah, come with us. Have some fun.
Come on, man.
Get on out.
Let me say this out loud because I can't believe my own ears. You expect me to deliberately take a dive? Damn it, now I'm definitely gonna have to wash this shirt.
Do you want me to dive in?
No. I need you to learn how to delegate.
Rocket, hurry!
All pilots, dive! They're beneath us! Plan. We're gonna climb up on the garbage, unsnap the windows, dive in the dumpster, and grab the spare key on the counter.
I'll dive in with you. Mañana. All right? Both feet, I promise. How's that? Well, how about this? I know a decent little dive over in NoHo. We could go drink it off later.
Hey.
What bars did Shauna and Clay frequent?
Mostly Southside dive bar.
Fragile.
Fragile. Fragile. Fragile.
Fragile.
I'm sorry. I forgot you're in a very fragile state.
Maybe you'd like to step outside and see how fragile I am. See how fragile I am. See how fragile I am.
Taylor woman in the waiting room. She was very attractive. And a wounded bird. Fragile, fragile, fragile.
Maybe you'd also see how fragile each and every life is.
Men are afraid to dance. The male ego is too fragile.
I'm not afraid. I'm a man.
Yeah, I wouldn't push too hard if I were you. No, she's too fragile.
Began over a girl, Mitzi Sunhu. Name means fragile flower. She was engaged to a Choi and then fell for a Sunhu.
Every generation requires a reminder that our safety is fragile.
Overruled in the ops room. She's feeling understandably fragile.
We must have a care for feminine sensibilities. They are finer and more fragile than our own.
The worst war in all history is over. Now is the time to win this fragile peace.